Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 12th March 2016. So now, the first article is related to the return of paternalism. So this article, I will say it is the most important today. And also it has covered the political and social spectrum with the constitutional dimension. We all know that in our preamble, we have three things. Under democracy, they are social, economic, and political democracy. So in this context, we have political equality, but not the social equality in the country. That is one dimension. And the government has to take up the redistributive policies to bring in social equality in this country and economic equality. So in this context, let us understand the first thing is this. One is, in the name of equality and democracy, we have certain challenges to face over here. In 1928, Motilal Nehru has drafted a constitution. So in this case, he has stressed on the political power will be justified only when it is there along with the socio-economic rights. After independence, when India drafted its own constitution, it has social democracy in this country was taken in the form of DPSP. But however, the DPSP were not justiciable. Then, during the UPA 1 government, we have this rights-based approach to development, where a service is being given as an entitlement, and the citizen has a hold on this particular title, and these titles are legally enforceable. So to an extent, it appeared the social democracy is returning back to India. Now, this is based on two arguments. There are two models. One is post-Second World War Scandinavian model. The other one is East Asian model. So East Asian model, it is mostly a neoliberal model which has come into existence after 1980s. And then Scandinavian model is a welfaristic model which has come up in the post-World War II scenario. So this is very much central to the rights-based approach. And the East Asian model, it talks about citizens contributing equally to their welfare and the state keeping itself away from the social benefits to be given to the citizens. The East Asian model will be successful only if there are, poverty is relatively manageable. But with so many millions of the poor people, the East Asian model will be doomed. So it is back, we shall revive our rights-based approach to development. In the East Asian model, insurance-centric contributory schemes will drive the social security. And the next is, for the rights-based approach to come up, civil society played an important role. So in this context, in the present government, we are shifting away from the rights-based approach, and also we are limiting the scope for the civil society action which have negative consequences for the social democracy perpetuation in the country. Added to that, the funds from the center are transferred to the states, and most of the times the state's performance under the welfarism is not up to the mark. So these are the things we need to understand. Next is amendment to the presidential speech. Now every year the first session the President of India will address to it. So after that, motion of thanks is introduced both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. If motion of thanks is not passed in Lok Sabha, the President of India has to resign, because this presidential address consists of the government policies and priorities for the coming year. And in the case of the Rajya Sabha, the motion of thanks is defeated, though it did not lead to the loss of the government. But it's a clear indictment on the government, and it shows the failure of the government on building a consensus on the governmental approach on the floor of the legislature. So till now, it is passed only for 5 times. With the existing NDA government, it was passed already twice. In the first year, it is related to black money, and in the second year, it is related to the the qualifications for the members in panchayats are to contest in panchayat elections. So, the Rajya Sabha is able to ascertain its identity through the amendment of the motion of thanks. Next is, respect for nature is devotion, and it is especially with regard to the ongoing World Cultural Festival. So in this case, there is a criticism. The Green Tribunal has asked for the payment of 5 crore rupees as a compensation. So the no environmental impact assessment was undertaken. So in this context, and the Yamuna is a lifeline of Delhi and is highly polluted, and the aquifers in the floodplains of Yamuna need to be recharged regularly. So the leveling for the conduct of such a massive gathering is going to damage the sensitive ecosystem over there. So in this context, the better or else this particular destruction of environment is unwarranted. So, with regard to the continuation of the articles, the Prime Minister Modi, he has attended the World Cultural Festival, and he said that the soft diplomacy plays an important role at the global level. So, in this case, we have to protect our heritage, and we shall use our soft power to gain into the central stand. And two things which are important to in the soft power is the culture, and the second is humanity. And coming to the Kakrapar nuclear plant. Now, nuclear liability, if possible, watch the video of Mr. IAS Khan. So, nuclear damages. So, these don't think that they will not happen in India. So, in Kakrapar nuclear plant, the heavy water has got leaked, that is, coolant has got leaked, and because of this, the nuclear plant was shut down. So in this case, Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, and what are its functions, you try to know about it. Coming to the industrial output contracts by 1.5%. So year on year, month on month index of industrial production, if you take, that is IIP. So January, February and March, for the 3 consecutive months, there is a fall in the industrial output. So this year, this month, it is due to the capital goods, consumer non-durables, manufacturing goods. In everywhere, we saw a fall in the growth. So what has to be done to revive this particular growth? Now, the monetary policy is only the option left over. So we have to talk about the easing of monetary policy, and the second is the regulatory framework, easing of regulatory framework so that investments can flow into the country. And we can also use the fiscal policy, but however government consolidated its fiscal path where it is aiming for the 3% of the fiscal deficit to the GDP. So in this context, to ease the monetary policy, the inflation pressures are really high on India. So now, to revive the manufacturing sector, which is very much necessary for the employment in the country, what has to be done? An innovative policy environment is necessary. Already the startup policy is announced, and added to that, the manufacturing sector is concerned, the tax benefits, etc. have to be taken forward. It is the time for that now. Now, audit. Here my question is, CAG is not allowed to audit the private sector companies. Then how come he has audited for the Airtel and various telcos? So understand, the President of India, if necessary, he can ask for the CAG to take up the audit of any other company. So all the telecommunications companies, they have showed a profit which is less than what they have got. This is what is called understatement of the profits. Because of this, the exchequer has lost around 12,000 crore rupees of income. That is what is the essence of this article. So these are the topics for today. Let us see the yesterday's question. Do we need to amend the IPC, Indian Penal Code? So what are the points we need to talk about over here? So Indian Penal Code, or any law for that matter, it has to change its shape to the changing circumstances. That is one thing. And next is, no law is eternal. And the Constitution of India, the third is colonial perspective. So the colonial laws have to be evaluated from the scope of the Constitution of India. So in this case, the rights framework of India, it limits certain laws which are there within the constitution. And next is the functionality perspective. So the judiciary is getting overloaded because to remove the conflict between the IPC various sections which we have enumerated yesterday and the fundamental rights. So this is actually the responsibility of the legislature. So legislature has to take forward this particular exercise. And as an example, you can quote about the Criminal Justice Act of the UK, and we can take forward the answer. Finally, we can state that now constitution is the supreme law of land. It is not just the IPC. Many of the laws which are colonial in nature, they need to be revisited to make their proper alignment with the Constitution of India and to provide for the equality, justice and rights to the people of this country. So in that way we can close these answers. So any constitutional question, so you can always take the functional point too. It means that what is stated, what is happened and what is happening, both the points need to be covered within the answer. So these are the things for today. Thank you very much. All the best.